The second FNAF movie, Pizzeria, allegedly just leaked today, which might give us some big answers about the next film, along with a bunch of new cast confirmations for the sequel, set photos, interviews from the movie creators where they reveal some new information, even alleged leaks of the actual movie being filmed in public, and much more. So first, to catch you guys up to speed, since it's been a bit since my last video, over the past month, the movie creators Blumhouse celebrated the second movie's filming, which started on October 27th. First by revealing the first ever poster for the movie we've gotten, showing the fully finished toy Freddy animatronic. They even revealed an animated version for a sweepstakes promo, which also looks interesting. And along with this, a couple weeks ago for Halloween, the creators have also re-released the first movie into AMC theaters, where for one, they revealed a new FNAF movie sequel logo, which looks just like the original one, but of course with a 2. And furthermore, after this, over the past few weeks, as filming has finally started, the creators of the movie have started doing a bunch of interviews telling us a ton about the upcoming film. For one, at the most recent Comic-Con, Blumhouse founder Jason Blum talked about the business side of the movie, saying,
"The fun thing about this sequel to Freddy's is Scott was just played the same role in the second movie they did in the first movie, but now Scott totally gets the movie business, so it's even more of his vision. Only Scott Cawthon could follow it up. And Emma and the cast. We've got all the original cast back and our director."
So this tells us a few major things about the movie. For one, Jason said Scott Cawthon is much more comfortable and knows how the film industry works, which is big because a large worry with the first film is that Scott might have had his hands full with trying to write and control a large portion of a massive film himself as someone who had never worked on movies before. But Jason here tells us now he really knows what he's doing, and even claimed that all of the original cast was going to be returning, which can be interpreted in a couple ways. You could view it as them confirming all of the on-screen cast are going to be returning in some way, which I would find weird since multiple of them didn't make it to the end of the film, or more than likely, he just meant people like the director, puppeteers, and behind-the-scenes crew like that, which is good because especially with the animatronics, they were done and controlled extremely well. In another interview, this time with Matthew Lillard, the actor for William Afton, he talked more about the second movie, saying that the film had taken a lot of the criticism from the first one that fans have given them, and were wanting to create an action-packed film.
And I think that collectively the filmmakers listened to some of the criticism that they got, and I think this film is going to be tonally a little different. I think it's going to be an action-packed film. I think it's going to be very exciting.
Another very interesting thing Lillard said in a different interview is recently he was asked about FNAF 2 and potentially future FNAF movies being rated R or 18+, which is something fans have wanted from the franchise a ton, since of course this is a horror movie focused on being scary and mature, and so having the film be rated R would remove any of the limitations of a PG-13 movie. However, Matthew told us, for one, of course, that the movie wouldn't be rated R, which we've known for a little bit now according to other reports, but also said that none of the other movies in the future will ever be rated R because Scott Cawthon himself would never personally do it.
They're not doing rated R. I know that they are committed to, and Scott's committed to, no gore. In general, that's not where he lives. It's not what he likes. He doesn't like that in the world.
This makes perfect sense since Scott, despite working on horror games, has always been the kind to leave the story up for interpretation, if you couldn't tell from the game theory catalog, and would very rarely animate or show any kind of real violence for us to physically see. This is probably what held the first film back so much with the lack of horror, since Scott wasn't really used to it. And while they have mentioned before that the film will be scarier in past interviews, we still probably shouldn't expect anything teetering on the 18+ R-rated side of things or anything, which can be okay depending on how it's done. But moving on from the interviews for now, shout out to Johnny Blocks, by the way, who made a video breaking all of them down in detail. I would have missed most of these otherwise, so go check out his video for a deeper breakdown on those. But for now, we have also gotten a bunch of FNAF movie leaks that might tell us a bunch about the upcoming movie. First off, ever since filming has started, we have actually started to see people going up to the Mike Schmidt actor Josh Hutcherson and take photos with him as he is filming. First, there were a couple here that were reported a little bit ago showing them outside of a Dollar General, and more recently another new picture has came in the same exact area in front of the same store. Now, I don't really know what they are filming in this location or why they met up with Josh here. I highly doubt they'd be filming in a Dollar General or anything. We saw with stuff like the mall scene in the first film that they literally redesigned an entire ice cream shop to fill it with FNAF references and whatnot, and that was before the $300 million, so I doubt they would use a random Dollar General before filming instead. But I don't know. We don't know if these pictures were from different days or the same shoot, or even if Josh was filming here at all, or if this was just somewhere he was hanging out in between shoots. You'd think if there were other people here or filming happening, we would see leaks of them actively filming in some way. So I'm honestly not sure. That's definitely still a developing story. But what's even more interesting is the FNAF movie is currently filming in Louisiana, the same place they filmed the first one, because of course it's a sequel. However, you might remember one of our very first real looks at the original movie was through the pizzeria facade they built in public for exterior outside shots. And now, knowing that they are filming at the same place, when going back to the same empty lot where the first facade was built, people have started reporting seeing a bunch of different things. Like, for one, in this photo, there is a sign up that says, "Do not cut grass." And the only reason you would think they would want grass to stay so long and gross looking is, of course, to give the area an abandoned feel, which would make sense since the second film is going to take place after the events of the first one, which was already about an abandoned pizzeria. And people have also reported a number of different poles being put around the area as well. These poles appear at least possibly like they could be the eventual bones of a pizzeria facade again, since if you looked at the back of the first film's one, it had the same wooden shell thing hiding behind it. So these very much could be for an upcoming build we could be seeing soon. The only worry and issue with this is we are already a couple weeks into filming as I'm recording and uploading this, with not really any concrete updates on what happened to this facade area, despite it being put up weeks ago according to the sources who took the original photos. And possibly even more worrying, recently people have given us updated photos of the lot, showing that the pillars have not only not been updated, but have actually started to fall over. This could either mean simply nothing, and maybe they just put the pillars up too early and fell over due to natural weather and not being attached to anything, and they'll just rebuild them up when needed. Or more pessimistically, this could be evidence these could not be for a new facade at all and have just been completely abandoned. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll definitely have to wait and see. Now, this is all cool to see photos of actors and potentially even pictures of movie sets in the future, but are there any leaks of the actual movie being recorded yet? I mean, we got a ton in the first film right away, so what about here? Well, kind of, maybe. As recently, a video has been going around claiming it had footage of FNAF 2 actually filming, showing two different settings. One here that shows a car and a couple vans, presumably being the crew around it, and another of them supposedly filming inside of a tent. And taking this person's word that they are actually filming stuff here, this would be extremely interesting, because the car we see in the first shot here is the same car we saw William Afton drive Garrett off in Mike's dream. Meaning, if this is all true, it seems to suggest we are going to get even more shots and flashbacks of Garrett and William's interaction, and also seemingly some other random scene relating to a tent that I'm unaware of. Now, the big question, of course, is, are these leaks true? Well, to be honest, I can't say for sure, but as of right now, most places posting about it haven't gotten any kind of confirmation or denial that these are real or if it's for something else, so I would have to say sources are mixed. But if you want my opinion, I think there's at least a good chance that these are real, just because it's a big coincidence for people to spot professional filming going on conveniently in Louisiana, where they are conveniently filming for the second movie right now and are conveniently using the same car from the first movie. So I do have confidence in this, but again, take it with a big grain of salt. But in other updates, recently there's also been a ton of casting calls for the film confirmed that might tell us a bit more about the film. First, actors Billy Slaughter and Tio Briones have been cast for supporting roles in the film, which, if you didn't know, are basically like characters who are important to the film's plot and progressing the story, but aren't important characters themselves as individuals. Like, for instance, Hank and Carl, played by Christian Stokes and Joseph Poliquin from the first film, were cast as supporting roles, who of course were the ones who broke into the pizzeria and ransacked it, which was important to the story, even though the characters themselves didn't hold much importance personally, which is how these new people will likely play a part in this next film as well. Next, there is Jaquan Monroe Henderson, who was cast as Robert, which seems to be a completely new character of some sorts that I'm not aware of. And outside of specifics, there has also been a recent casting call asking for child extras to appear in some school scenes aged 10 through 14, obviously suggesting there will be some kind of appearances in a school, probably with Abby because she's around that age range. And there's also been a casting call for a photo double for someone named Debbie, which I believe is another confirmation of some kind of new character as well, who is described as a black-haired child filming from November 20th to November 21st. But moving on to what might be the biggest leak we have ever gotten for the sequel. Recently, a person who worked on the interior sets for the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie posted a brand new Instagram story thanking a bunch of people, I guess for some kind of birthday celebration, but almost instantly deleted this from their story. Reason being, if you look at the image, it appears that there is some kind of concept art for a new interior location for some sort of project they are working on, which reporters believe is likely the next pizzeria for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Since on this little strip here, we can actually see the movie's production title, Music Box, which if you didn't know is a fake name they give to the movie, so that way when they list casting calls like what we saw earlier, it camouflages the identity of the film. The first FNAF film was called Bad Cupcake, for instance. Now, I should mention, like the other leaks, even though there's a lot of evidence, these aren't technically 100% confirmed, and at best, this is a concept art sketch, so it very well could change quite a bit from the final version. But this leak matters so much because while most of these small details could obviously change from concept art to actual production, people have pointed out things like what looks like possibly a carousel here and a little hidden hatch right here. Important details because for FNAF's 10th anniversary, we were given a bunch of pages from the movie script, with 3 being fake and 1 being real. We just didn't know which one. One of which being about a carousel and mentioning towards the end there being some kind of a hidden doorway in the hub of the carousel, revealing a descending spiral staircase, which people believe could be referencing these parts of the concept art, the carousel and the hidden hatch. Now, I don't know how much I believe this because the script specifically mentions a doorway in the center of the carousel, while if we look here, the hatch has no doorway and the carousel's on the other side of the room. So I'm not really sure if this really proves to us much. Maybe if this is the actual carousel, the doorway will be somewhere we just can't see here. But for now, we honestly can't really tell. Again, this is a super early model, so large parts of it could be changing. Regardless though, it's still super cool to finally get a look at the FNAF 2 pizzeria setting.